There are few funding options for, there are few options for funding small business startups in Milwaukee unless that startup is related to technology or biotech. What will you do in the next term to find funding for new small businesses in Milwaukee?
I was at an interfaith conference on Tuesday. We had where Tom Baer was there, and Scott Taylor was there also with Lena Taylor. And so I guess it depends who you are, they'll be present. But the fact is that when I was discussing the Marquette proposal, Marquette University got a $100 million donation from alumni. So I suggested, well, why not, as elected official, go to the president of Marquette and get jobs for local contractors in Milwaukee, because that could create jobs. In exchange, the city of Milwaukee will close down Wisconsin Avenue and make that into a green area or whatever area that would fit Marquette. That would promote Marquette, makes the university better, and better in terms of ranking, attract more students, and so forth. So that is one solution. Secondly, I talked about having our elected officials go after earmarks. Feingold, Herb Cole, Representative Gwen Moore, everybody. Go out there and get the earmark, whether you call it pork barrel, whatever you want to call it, because City of Milwaukee is in a crisis. If we're in a crisis, we should not let principle get in our way, because our elected officials are competing against other elected officials. And so that's important, because when you think about it, what's so bad about earmarks? If you take a tax deduction, right, that's because law says you can take a tax deduction to reduce your tax liability. If earmarks are legal, then we should go after it. That's one source for us to go after money that's available outside the city. It's called federal money. We should go after that more.
And we are running still a little bit ahead of schedule, so I hope you don't mind if I just ask you more questions.
Sure.
Do you support the Kenosha-Racine-Milwaukee KRM commuter rail? If so, or if no, why? If yes, why? And what local funding source do you recommend?
With respect to light rail, I don't have the detailed plan of the light rail, but I like to start with the central city and work out. Because where the jobs are taking place in the suburbs, and the people in the central city do not have access to transportation. We should start with a problem. Part of my campaign I'm trying to address for our community is that we need to figure out how to help the central city of Milwaukee. Because if that's where the problem areas are, that's what we're going to focus on. Because the weakest link, you know, like in my criminal practice, you don't know where the weakest part is. But if you know what the weakest part is, that's what we're going to strengthen this, because the chain can be only as strong as the weakest link. And so I would propose that we do the light rail in the central city and work out and towards whatever direction you want to go, where the jobs are. I would emphasize that the purpose of the light rail is to create jobs. Okay, that's what I'm looking at. That's what Dr. Mark Levine was talking about. When you look at back in the historical perspective, during the Roosevelt era, when they built Hoover Dam, who in the right mind thought Hoover Dam was needed at that point in time? But look at it now. How many people lived off the Hoover Dam? And that's like 7 wonders of the world now. Milwaukee could be like the next city where we can be ahead of everybody else. Milwaukee is small enough, like 600,000. We can be that special city. We can be #1.
Why is the rate of poverty so high in Milwaukee, and what can the mayor do to bring living wage jobs to Milwaukee?
Part of the interfaith disclaimer, everybody had a disclaimer for the interfaith conference, and part of it is, one is that I believe there is a God. Secondly, I'm not him. So in that context, you know, I don't know what the answer is, what the poverty is. Okay, I can honestly tell you I don't know. But I do know that certain things will help people to get out of poverty. And I think a lot of people in here know that too. One is education. And we got to educate our kids to get their education. Secondly, we got to have infrastructure in place so that those people who are trained can get those jobs. And thirdly, this is an issue about perception. That is, we have a perception problem in the community about segregation, and we have to address that. And because if you don't want light rail to come into your neighborhood because you want to contain Milwaukee, hey, that's a reflection on all of us. So poverty it affects every one of us because it creates crimes, it hurts a lot of people, and you don't know that one child that could be the next person who created Google or Apple or DreamWorks or whatever. So what I'm getting at is that there's a lot of talent in the city of Milwaukee. And I would suggest to you that whether you're Republican or Democrat, that this is a community part. And as mayor, a mayor is a nonpartisan position. So I don't come out and say I'm going to endorse Obama, even though I voted for him. Fact is that, hey, if John McCain could be the person that could help the city more, I would vote for McCain. Because why? Because he would help the city of Milwaukee. So you got to look at who will help us, and that's what you got to look at.
And then final question. How politically available will you make yourself?
Well, I'm married, I have 4 kids. My family comes first. Other than that, as a elected official, I believe that I'll be out there. When I advocate for my clients, I go out there on the limb and do what I can for my clients. And also, being a mayor is a public service. You know, it's an elected position. It's a situation where you're giving something back to the community. And then I would suggest, as Jason pointed out, that I'll be the type of person that I will be out in the field. I'll be talking to people. I'll be eating at restaurants like Mr. Perkins. I'll come to El Rey, talk to the people. And then I would have my cell phone with me. That if someone wants to call me, it will be forwarded to my cell phone. So what I'm getting at is that you'd be a people person. You know, I think William Proxmire, he was that type of person. He would go out and meet people. Yeah, a lot of meetings. Just go talk to a lot of people because it's the people that helps us.
And then if you would take 30 seconds to close, please.
Yeah, again, my name is Andrew Shaw. I have a lot of information on my website, shawformayor.com. And I want to thank every one of you for being here and listening. I would ask that if you like my ideas, tell your friends to go out there and vote for me, because I'm sure that some of you did not know that I was running for mayor, because our media have a tendency to not do their job. I had a discussion with a young person back there saying that, well, you know, media, they have a certain role. Well, it's my belief, whether it's idealistic or not, the media should at least tell the people in Milwaukee that, hey, there's 2 people running for mayor or a judge or whatever, alderman, and that this is his website. We're not endorsing that individual, but if you want to look at it, go out there and check it out and decide for yourself. And I think that's what the media should do. It should inform the public what the issues are, what each candidate stand for. If they want to talk about the person's past, that's part of, I guess, the game of being a politician. But I think we gotta look at the issues.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrew.